Before all of this, I used to be a Christian, a very devoted Christian. I was even a servant in the church for a long, long time. My family was very happy with this, and I did my communion and everything that belongs with Christianity. And not just a Christian, but just Roman Catholic. Really, I was really devoted to the Pope and with all of the saints, and I was very afraid of this God. So I was bowing and kneeling down all the time. But there was one thing that I didn't do, and that was loving this God. I did not love this God at all. I was afraid of it. Um, Later on, when I discovered the dragon, I dropped everything from this Christianity, every single thing of it. And I was searching down, and I was even more learning about the Bible and what is standing inside of this book. And what I discovered is that the reason why I was a Christian is because I didn't read this book at all. This book and the Ancient Testament as well. I was really searching down for the history of all of this, the history of the Bible and the history of Christianity. And I was really shocked that people in mass follow this cult, because this is a cult. I don't call it otherwise. Sometimes my family, members of my family, is saying that I should return to this Christianity and I should return to God. But I said I cannot because I don't want it. And as sometimes they say, why have you stopped believing in God? I said, I didn't stop believing in your God. I have now another opinion. Now I think that your God, I believe that your God can be real, but he's an asshole. He's an asshole. The Christian God is an asshole. He's just someone who just demands prayers and demands worship, demands that you kneel down before him. That is just the total opposite of my dragon. When my dragon came before me, I kneeled down instantly for this amazing power, amazing energy that the dragon has. And the first thing that the dragon said, don't kneel down. That is not necessary. We are equals. And that is not what the Christian God said. The Christian God said, kneel down because I'm God. And that is actually the thing. I don't even believe that he's a God. He's influential. Yes, that is. But he's not really like a God. He's not that powerful, because if he is, he can come before everyone, but he cannot. The dragon has a connection with all of us. They can come before us whenever they managed to open up the gate, whenever you want this. But with Christians, he doesn't come before them. He just assumes that they will do it, and a lot of them will do it, but not out of love, but out of fear of going to hell, out of fear for what is going to happen in this life, and out of desire for going to paradise. The great difference with me and with us that follow the dragon and with Christians is that no one has to tell us to go to worship or to pray for dragons. No one had to do this. We feel this from ourselves. We feel this from our desires that we have. Once we hear the word dragon, we are immediately triggered. And that is the difference with Christianity and Islam. That is just the same thing. Or Judaism, that is also the same thing. Abrahamic religion in general. Whenever they go to church, they feel an obligation. They feel that they have to do it. They need to worship this God inside of this great building. That is the great difference with us. Whenever we feel it, we do it. And we don't even need to worship the dragon, because they always say that they are equals, that they are by our side, and that we don't need to worship, but love them. Just feel the love for them. Let it come out. Let it all come out. That is also the great difference. We don't need a building somewhere that is just cut down trees and need a building for worshipping this God with all of this gold and things like this. No, a dragon is very simple. A dragon is a spirit of nature. Nature, the four elements. And that is also when you are close to the four elements, when you are in the side of a forest or an ocean, the sea, when you are close to nature. Now that is a dragon's church. That is a dragon's place of talking to them, a place even of worship, if you want this, if you desire to do this. And I had great desire to worship the dragon. Great, great desire. And I so did. And every time the dragon said, this is not needed, I just did my own thing. Because I felt this. I wanted to do this. And I wanted to create an altar, not with gold, but with images of the dragon. Images that are very very important for me, that makes me remember my dragon. The great difference between the Christian God and our dragons, for example Leviathan, cannot be greater. The Christian God needed all of this demonization of all of the gods, all of them, all the demonization that has happened is because they needed to worship this one particular Abrahamic asshole God. I mean, sorry if I say this asshole, but it is. He approved slavery. He approved racism. Everything that I read inside of the Bible, it was all because he wanted all of this to happen. I mean, all of this. I mean, slavery, even very feminine, unfriendly. I don't understand why so many women worship this God, because he's very against female energy. I mean, for example, I'll just give you an example. When a woman is raped by another man, this man needs to marry the woman that he is raped. Whatever the woman says is not of importance. I mean, what the hell? Inside of the dragon's path, a woman and a man is on equal side. I mean, we can be a dragon witch, we can be whatever we want on the side of the dragon. The dragon in itself can be woman or a man, female or male. It is just not of importance what you are. You can go whoever you want on the dragon's path, and you are even on equal level, always on equal level with male, female, the dragon. I mean, it's always on the equal side. Of course, what is the Christian, I mean, sorry, the Ancient Testament. Now, that is a good one, you know. The Bible changed so many times to please people and not be afraid of this God, because in the Ancient Testament, there was not even needed for a devil. That is why sometimes people also say to me that I am I'm following demons, I'm following devils, but I said, you are following devils, because in the Ancient Testament, there was no need for a devil, because God and the devil were one. They were one, and he was a great jealous prick, a jealous asshole that he didn't even make all of this world. He didn't have this power to do this. In the story of Tiamat, this god, the Christian god, had a totally different name, Marduk. And he was actually fighting against Tiamat and used her power to create life. So it was her energy inside of this earth, draconic energy, that made life, not him. And he required worship, he required prayers, because he was not powerful enough. He required this from the creation of Tiamat. And as well as Leviathan. That is what the story as well said in the Ancient Testament. He split himself in two. This God split himself in two in this light and dark version. And this dark version was being called Leviathan. So yeah, he was God. Leviathan was God. And even though it was a serpent-like snake, I mean a draconic serpent, you can say. A draconic serpent, even though they are still demonizing this very much, even though this is the God that they are worshipping. And I was going to this church, but I didn't care for what the priestess say. I mean, I didn't care for what he's saying. Every time when someone says to me a story about the dragon, I'm very invested. I want to know where their story is coming from, where their path is coming from. But I just didn't care about this God. And everything that I came to know about this God, I just say, wow, what an asshole. I know I cannot bow for someone so evil as this. I even said to the people, and even my family, he is a lord of lies. And that is what they always said about the devil. Lord of lies. But I think and I believe that this God that the Christians are following is the Lord of lies. He cannot create life. He cannot do anything. He needed energy. He needed energy from your prayers, from your fear, even from your desire. He needed this. And I learned so many things on the Dragon's Path, that you can donate energy to the gods and spirits. And that is also what they are doing. Whenever they are devoting their own life to this God that they never met, that they don't even know, then they are donating energy to them, to the ones that are directed to it. But I said, you cannot worship a god or a spirit if you don't even felt them. You know, a pastor, a priest in front of it, always speaking about God and this and that. And I was always wondering, how does he know all of this? What kind of an experience does this priest have with this path, this particular path, the Christian path? I mean, he's always telling things from this book, but what are his experience? How does he know what kind of God that I'm worshipping? How does he know? And what does he understand from the words he's saying? I talk about the dragon because it was my experience. An experience that I had, and I will never forget it. And I'm still having experience from the dragon every single day. So I feel that I can talk about the dragon. There is nothing in books, but I love to talk about the dragon. But how can they talk about that? I mean, in Christianity, they always talk about thousands of years ago with these primitive guys and always having wars. And no, give me something from this time. Give me something from this age. Because if this is truly a God, then everything has to evolve. Every single thing. And if your God approves slavery, racism, and even killing firstborn children, I mean, what? If this God is so much against women and their rights, then fuck off with your God. I mean, you're worshipping pure, simply, I cannot say it, evil. Evil, something from the deepest pits of Leviathan's void that I just don't want to care about. Just go away with your God, with your Christian God, with your Islamic God, with your Judaism God, and have your simple rituals together inside of a great building that was made in times of many poor people, and that they didn't have money, but they did have money to build something so great. It was just so hypocritical, you know. I just cannot stand it. And then they always say to me, stand down from worshipping the dragon because that is bad. I said, is it is that so bad? Let me open a book from the God that you worship. I mean, I have to admit, I love this. I love to talk about this Christian God, and let me open a book about this, because now I read all of the Bible, ancient and new one, and now I want to talk about this and ask you in the end why you are worshipping a God that vile like that. He did not create us. He's just lying. Just a lie for humans to have their, in Rome. I mean, look at that. Look how big those buildings are with all of this gold and angels and things like this. And all sitting throne with gold and a golden cross. I mean, this is not worship of a God. This is worshipping of yourself. I'm trying to worship a God, but my God is always saying don't. Because we are on equal level. And if God says this, then it's truly a God.